Hello everyone, we're from Tutorial 1, Group 2, and today we're going to talk about this topic, the manager as a decision maker. First of all, let me introduce my teammates to you. Here are their names and pictures, and I am Dongqiu Shi. So let me start with the introduction part. Today, we're going to talk about something at the very heart of every manager's role, decision making. Whether it is setting goals, solving problems, or leading a team, every action a manager takes comes from a decision. In fact, the success of an organization often depends on the quality of those decisions. So we are going to discuss about this topic, decision making. And firstly, let's move on to the question 1. Why is decision making often described as the essence of a manager's job? I concluded the answer to this question into 4 parts. Resource allocation, strategic impact, people management, and problem solving. So the first one is resource allocation. One of the key roles of a manager is to decide how to distribute limited resources, such as budget, time, and personnel. Good decision making ensures that these resources are used efficiently with organizational goals. And secondly, it is the strategic impact. At a higher level, managers make decisions that shape the long-term direction of the whole organization. And strategic decisions affect market positioning and investments and innovation. A single well-timed or poorly made decision can significantly influence success or failure. And the next is the people management. As a manager, it is really important to manage the employees properly. And managing people involves making decisions about hiring, training, motivating, evaluating, and even transitioning employees. These decisions directly affect team performance, workplace culture, and employee satisfaction. And the last part is about problem solving. So, since manager is at the central position to all functions, then they are faced with both routine issues and unexpected challenges on a daily basis. So decision making is at the heart of every responsibility, such as planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Without making effective choices, these functions cannot be carried out successfully. Managers constantly assess situations and determine the best course of action to move the whole organization forward. So in a word, what separates an average manager from a great one is not just their technical skills, but their ability to consistently make timely and impactful decisions.
Thank you, Dong, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I am Hazim, and I will be continuing with the next question. The question says to provide an 8-step illustration of any decision-making process that I have undergone. So, as a student, there is one recent decision that I made using the 8-step decision-making process, and that was to buy a new laptop. Firstly, I identified the problem of my old laptop. It was so slow and often crashed, which made it hard for me to complete my assignments. Secondly, I identified the key decision criteria to buy a new laptop. For instance, good battery, good performance, long battery life, enough storage, and most importantly, as a student, is the price. Thirdly, I assigned weights to these factors based on what I am looking for the most. To me, performance and price were most important, so I weighed them higher than other factors. Fourthly, I listed several alternatives which I can buy. For instance, a MacBook Air, an Asus VivoBook, a HP Pavilion, an Asus Rift, and also a Lenovo IdeaPad. Fifthly, I analyzed each option by comparing specs, price, and reviews. This is to ensure that I make the right decision without any regrets later. Sixth, I selected an alternative which was the Asus VivoBook Pro 15 OLED, which offered powerful performance, a beautiful OLED screen, and a great value for its price. Seventh, I implemented the decision by purchasing it during a promotion and getting accessories to protect it. I compared the price in online stores and even in retail outlets. Lastly, I evaluated the effectiveness and was very satisfied as it greatly improved my productivity and handled all my tasks smoothly. This structured process helped me make a confident and practical decision, and I believe it is a useful step for everyone when making a decision. Now, moving on to question 2.3, does bias play an important role in CEO or first line managers? My answer is yes. I believe bias plays an important role in decision making, whether for a CEO or a first line manager, because decision making is often influenced by personal experiences and internal perceptions. There are various types of bias in the world, but for this topic, I will only share three main bias that often managers do. One common bias is overconfidence bias, where decision makers think they know more than they actually do or overestimate their abilities. For example, a CEO might launch a new product too quickly, believing it will succeed just because past projects have succeeded. Another bias is availability bias. This happens when managers make decisions based on the most recent or vivid events in their memory. For instance, an employee recently gave a great presentation in a meeting that impressed everyone. Even though other team members have consistently performed well for months, the manager chooses that employee as the team leader simply because the employee's recent success is fresh and vivid in his memory. Lastly, selective perception bias. This occurs when managers interpret information in a way that fits their own views. For instance, a manager believes that one of his employees is lazy. Because of this belief, the manager tends to only notice when the employee comes in late or take breaks. But he ignores the times when the employee stays back to finish tasks or even to help teammates. Even when the employee performs well, the manager interprets it as a rare exception. These biases can affect daily decision making and lead to unfair or ineffective outcomes if not carefully managed. So, a great leader must always try their best to avoid bias and stay respectful to all colleagues. Well, that ends question 2.3. Now I'll pass the next question to my friend. Thank you for lending me your ears.
Thank you, Hazim, for your well explanation. And hi, everyone. My name is Ala Sheda binti Muhammad Saharuddin, and today I'll be in charge for question 4 and 5. For question 4, I will talk about intuitive decision making, what it is, when it's best used, and also its main drawbacks. So, what exactly is intuitive decision making? It's a process of making decisions based on instinct, gut feelings, and past experience, rather than using data or a step-by-step analysis. This type of decision making often happens quickly and subconsciously. It's especially useful in situations where time is limited or when the data is unclear or incomplete. Let me give you some examples. Decision based on experience, emotions, ethics, or even subconscious mental processing, these all fall under intuition. For instance, a doctor who quickly recognizes a critical symptom without needing to run multiple tests is using intuitive decision making based on experience. And now, when is this method most effective? First, when you need to make a quick decision, like during a crisis. And second one, when there's missing or unclear information, and logic won't help alone. Third, when the decision maker has strong experience and can recognize patterns quickly. And finally, when the problem is unfamiliar or complex and doesn't fit into a standard model. But even though it's useful, intuitive decision making has major drawbacks. The first one, it's prone to bias and overconfidence, since it's based on personal judgment. Next, it also lacks transparency because it's hard to explain why a certain decision was made. Next one is it can be risky in unfamiliar or high-stakes situations where decision maker might not have enough experience. And lastly, it doesn't allow for thorough comparison of all options, which may lead to less optimal choices. So, while intuition can be powerful, it is not always reliable, especially when used without checking or balancing it with logic. Now, moving on to question 5, let's talk about Herbert A. Simon's concept of bounded rationality and the problems with the rational decision-making model. Simon believed that people don't always make perfectly logical decisions. Why? Because we have limited mental capacity, limited time, and also limited information. Instead of always aiming for the best decision, most people just choose one that is good enough. This process is known as satisficing. Let's compare the two styles of decision making here. The first one is intuitive decision making, relies on gut feelings and also experience. It's fast and helpful in uncertain or real time situations, but it's also hard to justify and can be biased. On the other hand, rational decision making is based on logical analysis. It's more structured and uses available data to evaluate all possible alternatives. But the downside is slow, time consuming, and also assumes we always have perfect information, which is rarely the case. So, what are the actual problems with the rational model? First one, it assumes that individuals have access to complete information, which is unrealistic. Secondly, it assumes that we can evaluate all possible alternatives, but in real life, this is almost impossible due to information overload. The third one, it expects that people will always choose the optimal solution, but we are human. Emotion, stress, and mental shortcuts affect our decision. Simon's idea of bounded rationality shows that decision makers face cognitive limits, time and resource constraints, and are influenced by emotions and biases. So instead of being perfectly rational, people often rely on intuition to fill those gaps, especially when dealing with uncertainty. In conclusion, both decision-making styles have strengths and also weaknesses. Intuition is fast and useful when time is short, while rational thinking is better when decision-making requires accuracy and evidence. A smart manager knows how to balance both. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Good morning everyone, I'm Adana binti Abdul Aziz. Today I'll go through for the 5 key points of summary which call Big Brown's number, focus on the United Parcel Service or also known as the UPS. This case shows how the UPS, the world's top delivery company, focusing on the efficiency and the sustainability. UPS is a well-known company that delivers packages all around the world. So we can see every day they delivers more than 20 million packages to over 220 countries. Handling such a big numbers of delivery is not an easy. Well, yes, it takes more than just a workers. They need a smart and organized system. UPS follows strict rules. They give the strong training to its driver, and they also use the new technology to keep things running smoothly. We can see one of the big important part of their success is their driver habits. For example, UPS drivers are taught not to left turns. This may sound small, right? But it helps save time and making drivers safer. They also try not to leave the engine running when it is not needed, and they follow the set rules. These small changes help save time, save money when used across thousands of drivers. UPS also uses a smart system called Orion, which stands on the on-road integrated optimization and navigation. This system finds the best route for each driver by looking at the traffic, distance, and their delivery time. Thanks to the Orion, now UPS has cut millions of miles from its original routes. This means lower fuels, lower costs, and better delivery time. Also, a small impact on the environment.
Now, I will continue the summary. So next is, Orion is not just a one-time setup, it actually keeps learning and improving over the time. The goal is to find a balance between the best delivery routes and keeping things consistent day to day. So instead just picking whatever routes look fastest, Orion helps drivers make smart decisions that work in real life. Next, UPS didn't come up with Orion overnight. It took them 10 years and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars to develop it. It's actually one of the biggest investment in logistics and operations research ever. That just shows how serious UPS is about improving their delivery system. Furthermore, even with all the challenges, UPS still really believes in Orion. They think the best results come from combining technology with human judgment, not one or the other. So, Orion is not here to replace the drivers. It's there to support them and make their jobs easier. Interestingly, drivers can choose whether or not to use Orion, but if they decide to go with their own route, they just need to explain why, maybe because of traffic or local knowledge. So the system gives guidance, but the drivers still have some flexibility. But of course, some drivers are a bit hesitant to use Orion. They might feel like it takes away their freedom to make decisions, or they just don't fully understand how it works yet. That is one of the challenges UPS is still working on. So yeah, Orion is a great example of how technology and people can work together to make things better. It helps with efficiency, save fuel, and support smarter choices. UPS is still improving it, and its impact keeps growing.
Now, let's move to the discussion question for case 1. So the first question is, why is efficiency and safety so important to UPS? Efficiency and safety are crucial to UPS because they directly impact delivery speed, cost savings, and overall service quality. UPS handles more than 20 million packages daily, so small improvements in efficiency can lead to a massive cost reductions and time savings. Safety is also essential to protect drivers, reduce accidents, and avoid costly liabilities. Efficient and safe operations help maintain UPS reputation and customer satisfaction. The second question is, would you characterize a driver's route decisions as structured or unstructured problems? Non-programmed or programmed decisions? Explain. So, driver's route decisions are unstructured problems because they involve many unpredictable and complex factors such as traffic patterns, delivery time windows, private roads, and road closures that may not appear on maps. The number of possible routes is enormous, as mentioned in the text, more than the number of nanoseconds Earth has existed, and no single standard solution fits all situations. Therefore, the problem requires analysis and judgment rather than a fixed rule. The decisions are also non-programmed because they are not routine or repetitive enough to be solved by a preset procedure. Every delivery day is different, and drivers must often make unique decisions based on changing conditions. That's why UPS invested in Orion to help drivers handle these unique, non-routine situations with better decision support.
Hi everyone, my name is Nabil Fitri, and I'll be presenting my take on discussion questions 213 and 214 from the Big Brown Numbers United Parcel Service case study. So let's start with what Orion actually is. Orion stands for On-Road Integrated Optimization and Navigation. It's UPS most significant investment in operations research to date. The reason? Each driver makes around 120 stops every day, which leads to over 6.6 quintillion possible route combinations. Orion was built by a team of mathematicians to simplify this complexity, helping drivers make smarter, faster decisions on the road. For question 213, let's look at how will Orion technology help drivers make better decisions. First, the problem. Drivers need to find routes that minimize time, fuel usage, and mileage. Next, UPS sets a clear decision criteria like fuel efficiency, road safety, private property rules, and compliance with local traffic regulations. Then comes generating alternatives. Orion used advanced algorithms and huge data sets to scan millions of route combinations for the best one. In developing options, Orion offers two primary routes to each driver. The Orion Optimized one and the other one is the traditional old route. If drivers choose the old route, they need to justify why. The fifth step is selecting the best option. Orion routes are typically the most efficient, saving time and reducing decision fatigue for drivers. And finally, drivers implement and monitor using the DIAD. They are handheld device that provides real-time updates and collects data for ongoing route optimization. Orion isn't operating in isolation. It fits perfectly into UPS culture of efficiency. Drivers follow strict work habits like avoiding left turns and reversing to reduce delays and accidents. There's even a quirky habit where drivers keep keys on their pinky fingers to save a few seconds. Orion builds on all of this by suggesting routes that reflect these long-standing practices, keeping performance consistent across thousands of drivers. Now, on to question 214, how is UPS being a sustainable corporation? UPS achieves sustainability through efficiency. Orion helps save millions of miles each year, which in turn results in substantial fuel savings. That means fewer emissions are released into the environment, helping UPS shrink its carbon footprint. They also focus heavily on waste reduction, with strict operational rules like reducing idling at intersections and avoiding inefficient stops. UPS minimizes both fuel waste and time loss. Orion reinforces these habits by planning routes that reduce unnecessary motion and waiting. These small changes add up to a big environmental impact. So to wrap up, UPS sees efficiency and sustainability as two sides of the same coin. Orion is not just a tool for faster deliveries, but it is a strategic investment in green logistics. By embedding sustainability into their daily operations, UPS doesn't just follow trends, but they set the standard for environmentally responsible, large-scale delivery.
Hello doctor and everyone, my name is Muhammad Samir bin Muhammad Nazir and I will answer the second case application, the business of baseball. Topic, Manchester City Football Big Data Champion. So, for question 215, what types of decisions are made by football managers? Would you characterize this decision as structured or unstructured problems? Explain. For the first part of the question, I choose non-program decision, which is a unique and non-recurring decision that requires a custom-made solution. Because every match is different, the opponent, tactics and condition, which require unique response. For the second part of the question, I choose unstructured problems, a problem that is new or unusual, for which information is ambiguous and incomplete. The nature of football is highly unpredictable, emotional and complex. For example, a player might get injured or get red card during the match, which create a problem for the manager. Question 216. Describe how football managers can use big data to make better decisions, referring to rationality, bounded rationality, intuition, and evidence-based management. So the first one, rationality. Managers aim to make logical, well-informed decisions based on complete data and discussion. For example, analyzing player stats, opponent tactics, and physical fitness to choose the best starting lineup for the next match. Second, bounded rationality. Managers simplify using the most relevant information available at the moment. For example, making a quick tactical adjustment with only partial data during the live match. And the third one, intuition. Managers rely on their gut feeling, experience, and past information and data to make crucial decisions. For example, the manager refused to substitute the striker because records shows that the number 9 made a significant impact in the final minutes, despite underperforming earlier in the game. And the last one, evidence-based management. Managers combine the best available data, expert advice, and historical performance to guide decisions. For example, using heat maps, match analysis, and injury history to plan training method, because sometimes training could get very tough and hard at some moment. Question 217. What types of conditions are more likely to influence the performance analyst team's work? Certainty, uncertainty, or risk? Explain. And my answer is risk. Risk is when the decision maker is able to estimate the likelihood of certain outcome. They are certain that all the data and statistics will prove their desired outcome. It means that there is a possibility. However, things can change based on situation over time. For example, nervous and pitch condition. So the performance analyst team, they will look into the statistic and data from the last match or past match, so they can use that as a reference for the next match. However, the next match or the next opponent, they could change their approach of playing, the style of playing, so they are not 100% certain. Therefore, risk is the most suitable thing, the suitable condition that I think that more likely to influence the performance team analysis work. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ames. So now I will conclude what we can get and learn from the case study about Manchester City. So the first one is Manchester City Football Club use a unique pre-match ritual where players review their performance data instead of just a motivational talks, helping them focus on specific improvement. The second one, performance analysts will give each player a personalized report after every match to provide the targeted feedback based on the objective data rather than subjective impression. Gavin Fleck, head of performance analysis, emphasized that data helps players make a smarter decision by highlighting their strengths, weaknesses, and also individual playing style. By doing so, it will help them to build a solid formation and gameplay. Moving on to the next one, Manchester City improved their set-piece goals significantly after analysts studied over 500 corner kicks from the other teams and trained players with the video demonstration. Data analysis also has been crucial parts in helping Manchester City win a major title, including the best defensive records for 2 consecutive years and championships in 2011-2012 and also 2013-2014.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Effendi bin Hassan. I will continue the 10-point case summary from number 6. Number 6 is big data also used strategically for youth development at Manchester City. By analyzing young players' skill and decision-making patterns early in their careers, coaches can identify promising talents and design personalized development plans. This approach helps seamlessly integrate homegrown players into the first team, ensuring a steady pipeline of well-prepared talent for the future. Number 7. In 2016, to further advance their use of big data, Manchester City hosts a global hackathon that attracts more than 400 applications from around the world. Participants, including data scientists and football experts, were tasked with creating algorithms to analyze real player data and stimulate decision-making in the game. The hackathon's goal was to develop a new analytical tools that could detect movement, passes, pressure handling, and tactical decision. For number 8, the winning team at the hackathon developed a machine learning algorithm capable of tracking real-time decision-making during match. This innovation allowed analysts and coaches to monitor player choice more deeply, such as when to pass, shoot, or dribble under pressure. This insight helped coaches design more targeted training sessions and strategies, making the team more tactically intelligent. For number 9, Manchester City use a big data goes beyond crunching number. It promotes a culture of reflection and continuous improvement among players. Instead of just telling players what they did wrong, the data help them understand the action, why they were effective or ineffective, and how to adapt their behavior on the field. This reflective process creates smarter, more adaptable athletes. The last one, number 10. Ultimately, Manchester City's experience shows that integrating big data into football can revolutionize traditional coaching. By systematically collecting, analyzing, and applying data insight, football team can drastically improve performance, decision making, and player development. Manchester City's model offers a blueprint for the other clubs aiming to stay competitive in an increasingly data-driven sport world.
Next question is, do you think it is appropriate for football managers to use only quantitative information to evaluate their player performance during a season? Why or why not? As of my opinion, I think it is appropriate but not sufficient for football managers to use only quantitative information to evaluate their players' performance. But before we go deeper on why I said it is insufficient to just rely on quantitative information, let us first understand about what actually qualitative and quantitative information is and what the difference. Quantitative information is anything that can be counted or measured. It refers to the numerical data. So from this case, this type of data can help to measure individual and team performance by providing evidence through statistics. For example, it is number of crosses a player make, number of corner kicks or set piece goals in a game. While qualitative information, on the other hand, is descriptive, refers to things that can be observed but not measured. So this type of information have adds human element and build player awareness and growth. For example, is how a player reflects on their performance and how they actually understand their actions and moves on the field. So here, we can see that actually both of the informations are linked together and manager needs both of it in order to make evaluations. Let's next look at the reason or why I say it is insufficient to just use quantitative information solely. So the first reason will be lack of context. When quantitative data or stats only shows what happened on the pitch but doesn't explain the full context behind all those actions. For example, a player may have few passes or low shooting accuracy in a match, but this might be due to the factors outside their control, such as tight marking from opponents, poor weather conditions, or a tactical change by the coach. Without considering the surrounding elements, the numbers might suggest poor performance, when in reality, the player did exactly what was asked of them. In the Manchester City case, the team used data to identify problems inside the cells, but also combine it with video and player reflections to truly understand the reason behind those weaknesses. So this shows that data without context can be incomplete or even misleading. So the second reason is ignores the tactical roles, which every player plays a different role within a team. Difference in responsibilities will influence data generated and lead to inaccuracy and undervalue a player. For example, a central defender is expected to make clearances and blocks, not to score goals or create chances. So comparing their stats directly with a striker's will be unfair and inaccurate. Similarly, a midfielder tasked with disrupting the opponent's play may not have high passing or assist numbers, but they are still doing their job effectively. If a manager looks only at raw stats without understanding a player's tactical role, they might undervalue key contributions that don't show up in traditional metrics. So this is why qualitative analysis like reviewing game footage or coaching observations is essential in evaluating whether a player is fulfilling their assigned role effectively or not. So in summary, we can look at the needs of qualitative information along with the quantitative information to make sure managers are doing their best to evaluate players' performance without leaving any aspect behind. Last question is, how can big data transform football decisions in the future? Let's get through what actually big data is. Big data refer to the large amounts of data from different sources with an increasing volume, variety, and velocity, along with the necessary techniques to be able to collect, store, manage, and analyze them to help make better decisions. It goes beyond just a simple statistic like goals and assists, which includes detailed real-time information on player movements, actions, tactics, and more by using algorithms and AI models. Now we can look at how big data can transform football decisions in the future by first injury prevention and fitness management, where clubs can monitor players' physical conditions in real time using wearable GPS devices, heart rate monitors, and motion sensors during training and matches. These tools collect data on factors like sprint intensity, distance covered, heart rate recovery, and muscle fatigue. This data can signal early signs of overload or injury risk, allowing coaches to reduce intensity or rest a player before a serious injury happens. Over time, this proactive approach doesn't just reduce the number of injuries, but it also helps extend a player's career, improve long-term performance, and save clubs millions in medical costs and unavailable game time. Second is financial and contract decision making. Big data helps clubs make smarter decisions by providing performance value analysis, as football clubs invest heavily in players, like in contract, transfer, or salary. For example, clubs can calculate how much they are paying for every goal or assist a player contributes, or use injury history and age-based performance decline models to decide whether to offer a contract extension. They can also track a player's market value trend, helping them choose the best time to sell or renew. With this data-driven approach, clubs can better manage their wage structures, reduce transfer mistakes, and optimize return on investment for every player. That's all from our group. Thank you.